Hello. Thanks for joining me for this replay of how to make bold moves in life and work. And I hope that you enjoy this session of the Brown Bag Break. And what we're covering today are 3 elements of how to make bold moves and 3 action steps for each one of those elements. Hang on, we're going to get going in just a few minutes. Thank you for joining me for this session of the Brown Bag Break. Welcome to the Brown Bag Break. Today we are going to tackle how to make bold moves in life and work. And I am Jenn Montague. I'm your host for today and as well as all the Brown Bag Breaks. And here's just a little bit about me. What I love about this slide is one key thing is that I am a member of the AA Club, which is awesome. And when we work on ourselves, our relationships improve. And some of what I'm going to talk about will hit on my work as a social and emotional intelligence certified coach. So I hope that you hang with me and we go over 3 important elements regarding how to make those bold moves in life and work. But let's start first with mindset. And the reason we need to start with mindset is before we go into how to make bold moves, we need to review mindset, as it's our mindset is the key determining factor as to if or when we make bold moves. And at the root of every action or inaction is our belief. Our beliefs drive our thoughts, which drive our feelings, which result in the outcome, that action, and some can say that this is behavior or attitude. And if at any time we're finding ourselves in a state of inaction, when we know we need to act, I want you to ask yourself what you believe that's creating that inaction. And I like this quote from William James. It is our attitude at the beginning of a difficult task, which more than anything else will affect its successful outcome. So clearly, making bold moves is a difficult task. It's something scary for most of us because it's getting us very uncomfortable. So let's define what bold really is. Bold is showing an ability to take risks, being confident and courageous. So how do we make those bold moves in life and work? First, we need to start with courage. Courage is that first element we need to explore to be able to make bold moves. And Brene Brown has this awesome quote in regards to courage. She says, courage, the original definition of courage, when it first came into the English language, it's from the Latin word cor, meaning heart. And the original definition of courage was to tell the story of who you are with your whole heart. So if you're familiar with her work, you know she talks about wholeheartedness. And what I love about this definition is it's just about us being us, our authentic self. And when we want to make bold moves, we have to lean into that element of who we truly are, and go with our whole heart. So how do we become courageous enough to make the bold moves? Well, I've got 3 simple actions, and I say simple, but they're really not simple. I've got 3 actions I want you to explore. First, I want you to trust yourself. To have the courage we need to make bold moves, we need to trust ourselves. Trust that we can maintain healthy boundaries, meaning knowing what's okay and what's not okay, and telling ourselves what's okay and what's not okay. Hold ourselves accountable, know when to ask for help, because clearly if we're going to make some bold moves, we are going to need help, and not beat ourselves up. And this comes by giving ourselves some grace from the desire to be perfect, because when we're going to go out and make a bold move in some way or another, it's going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect, and we got to trust ourselves to not beat ourselves up and be full of grace for our own self, so then that way we can continue moving on in that bold move. The second one is to face your fears. And we all have fears, fears of the unknown, fear of judgment, fear of failure. My question for you is, will your faith be bigger in yourself than the fears you have? And how will you feed your faith and starve your fears? John Maxwell asks that question many times. And we know that by giving our attention to and focusing on what we fear versus addressing our fears keeps us stuck. And one thing I've asked myself time and time again, whenever I'm trying to make a bold move, is what's the worst that could happen? And this time that we've been in with crises, really, we've seen that potential worst that could happen come to reality. And if we've been navigating at this point successfully, then we're more than likely going to be able to make a big move. And I've recently been reading Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams. So no matter what your politics, I want you to just hear this quote from the preface of the book. She says, "When we refuse to name our obstacles, we can never find a way around them. Worse, we accept their inevitability, believing we deserve what we get." And if we're going to make bold moves, we need to face our fears and we need to believe that we are worthy of more than what that obstacle is and get around that obstacle, as she said. And the best way to do that is to review our successes. And I get courage to continue on or to try to new bold moves through reviewing what I've accomplished in the past. Even in challenging times such as now, we can find some small victories that will show us we can do what at the beginning might have seemed impossible. So what are some small victories you've had in the last 3 to 6 months? And they can be small ones. They don't have to be giant ones. They can be just, that you made some progress during the time when so many stayed stuck, or it took a long time for them to be able to pivot. I think the first thing we need to do is ask the question why we want to make a bold move. And if we get that question answered, that why, that leads us to element number 2, that motivation. And motivation can be described very easily or defined as the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way, and the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. So motivation is that thing that keeps us going. It gets us into action. And here are the 3 actions that I feel that we need to be motivated to make bold moves. First, we need to find our soul purpose. And I love how Steve Chandler describes this. And he describes this in his book, 100 Ways to Motivate Yourself. Our soul purpose, that one purpose that gives us life and energy, we all need clarity around what it is. In January, I spoke on living our life on purpose at an event. And I used a quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes, and he stated that many people die with their music in them. And if we're seeking true happiness, which in most cases requires bold moves, we need to get clear on what gives us life, that we have lived life so fully that we no longer fear of dying with regrets. And so that sole purpose is what's going to keep you from regret. So answer the simple question for yourself. What lights you up when you're doing it? What really fills your soul? John Maxwell uses 3 questions. What do you dream about? What do you cry about? What do you sing about? In his little search for what's your purpose, because it's those things that move us so deeply and emotionally and light us up that actually are our soul purpose, so that we are getting excited every time we know we're working in that arena. The second one is plan your work. Ugh, right? Yes, I'm telling you to plan your work. Your work, excuse me, your work could be the work on yourself, work on a relationship, project work for your career. To get going and get ourselves motivated, we need a plan. This could be with a planner, a journal, thinking on and writing down the steps to achieve your desired result. So it's you spending time. Covey will call this quadrant 2 time, that time for you to really think and plan. So many times in our life, we are busy and we don't slow down, we don't pump the brakes long enough to really decide what our next step is. To make a bold move, you have to plan. And what ends up happening when you do that planning and when you're thinking on it, it naturally gets you re-energized and excited about the outcome that could exist by doing that work. And that equals motivation. So definitely plan your work. The last thing I'm going to encourage everyone to do to motivate themselves might seem different than what you have seen before, but I want you to love yourself enough. And I'm going to read an excerpt from Heart Talk by Cleo Wade. And this can be taken in different ways, but I really feel ultimately right now, in this time that we're in, we need to motivate ourselves by choosing us, by choosing to show up. So I'm telling you, I want you to choose you, and I want you to get excited about you choosing you every day. And that is motivating. And her excerpt goes like this. Love yourself enough to walk into only the rooms and situations that show care and love for you. Love yourself enough to walk out of the rooms that harm you in any way. Love yourself enough to hold the people who harm you accountable for their words and actions. Love yourself enough to express your wants, your needs, and your desires. Love yourself enough to tell the truth. Love yourself enough to keep yourself safe. Love yourself enough to say enough is enough when enough has become enough. And motivation to make those bold moves will come at the end of you deciding for you. When you choose you, when you choose to show up for yourself every day, that is motivating because you have finally made the choice that will get you to the bold move you desire to make. The third element is commitment. And commitment is defined simply as the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc. So the state or quality of being dedicated. So it's really, when you think about that, it's a state, it's a quality, and dedication. So I want you to also think of consistency when you hear the word commitment, because a committed state is a consistent state. It means you have decided, you are dedicated to that cause, that activity. And if you are going to make a bold move, you need to be dedicated to it and the process to complete it. And here's a couple of quotes on commitment. Remember, I said motivation is what gets you started. Commitment is what keeps you going. Jim Rohn said that. Vince Lombardi, most people fail not because of lack of desire, but because of lack of commitment. And the last quote I'll leave you with relative to commitment is Ken Blanchard said, there's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. In my work as a social emotional intelligence coach, we cover this competency, initiative and bias for action. And this is where it shows up in our seeking out bold moves, how to make bold moves. We need to have initiative and bias for action. That's that commitment piece. And it can be described as this: being proactive and persistent, ready to act on opportunity. So what are the actions that are related to commitment, and in that initiative and bias for action. The first one is to go all in. When you are all in, you are 100% committed to making a bold move. Do your actions reflect that you're all in? So answer that question for yourself. Are your actions saying, I'm all in? Remember that whole belief to thoughts and action that we talked about from the mindset step point? That's where it's going to show up. If your action is not saying, I'm all in, meaning you're 100% committed, then you need to go back to that belief element. So are you trading comfort for possibility? Are you trading easy and fun and fast for the opportunity that could exist for you? Are you using your time focused on what will get you there, wherever there is? So are you making sure that you're prioritizing it? And that's what going all in looks like. And of course, we probably have all seen Carpe Diem in one way or another, represented on a sign or in a movie. But what this really means is that seize the day, seizing the opportunities. Remember my definition for the initiative and bias for action, that being proactive and persistent, but ready to act on opportunity. So if you're ready to act on opportunity, you can seize it. So have you worked on your mindset so that when the opportunities arise, you aren't stopped by those beliefs? Another element of being ready to seize opportunities is to proactively look for them. Are you preparing yourself by doing the work to see the opportunity? So what are you reading and who are you spending time with? The people that you spend time with, the things that you read, what you fill yourself up with, what you feed to yourself is going to determine whether or not you see that opportunity as it's presented. And then the last action is eat the elephant, which of course ends with one bite at a time. So how do you tackle a big task? And we've already talked about how making a bold move is going to be attached to a big task. So commitment is being consistent. To make a bold move, which might seem daunting, you can chunk it down into smaller steps. So what's the first of many steps that will allow you to make the bold move when the time is right? So maybe it's not right now, but when it is, are you getting ready for that opportunity? And I know right now we may think that opportunities are just like a thing of the past because of the environment that we're in, but you can still make small steps. You can still take small steps towards that ultimate goal, which might be a bold move, whatever that is. I mean, a bold move may be changing jobs. A bold move may be going on a new adventure. A bold move may be, leaving or taking care of situations in a relationship, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship. Bold moves mean, remember one of those things I talked about, which is us choosing us. We're choosing ourselves and we're choosing activity and action over comfort when we're doing these steps, because they're not going to be easy. I'm not telling you this is easy to take and make those consistent steps. But the key thing is it goes back to, are you all in? Are you 100% committed to what you want to do, what that bold move might look like for you? So that's the summary of my action steps for you and the 3 elements. So you need to have courage, and you need to have motivation, and you need to have commitment to make those bold moves in life and work. So because I always say this almost in every one of my sessions, I'm going to say it again today. It's your day. Make it a masterpiece. And I don't say that lightly. I say choose you. You have the opportunity to choose how you want your day to be finished, what you want the story to say. A couple of months ago, we talked about writing our story. Well, this is you. When you're making a bold move, you're choosing to write the story of your life that will not have any regrets. So remember that. Write the story of your life that doesn't have regrets. And so I'm going to tell you what's next with GenQuest and what I'm working on. You can always find all of what's next on my website, jenquest.com/events. But let's just focus on a couple of things as to what's going on with you right quick today before we go to our open discussion time. The first, what's going on is I have a social and emotional intelligence to profit webinar. I'm part of the Purdue at Westgate webinar series. That's just next Wednesday, July 22nd. And it is 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central time. Because I'm in Central time, but the coordinator is in Eastern time, I have to make that differentiating piece. To get enrolled in this free webinar, you need to go to my events page, and you'll be linked to the Eventbrite page to get enrolled in that. And it is geared towards entrepreneurs and startup businesses, but really what I'm going to cover, that profit, whether it's your personal profit or your business profit, it will apply. The second thing is that if you are bummed that you missed our Successful Second Half one-day summit for entrepreneurs back in June, you can get post-summit access for just $97. Again, you can find that on my events and offers page, but you can also find it at jenquest.com/success, and you can see what all the sessions were. The discussion forum that we have available is where the active participants, the live participants are, all the presenters are. Presenter bonuses, that includes over 3 hours of free consultation time. We're going to have a third quarter after party, which will probably mostly be online just to celebrate your success. And there's some bonus online training. We have valued this over $500, and this opportunity to get this post-summit access expires as of July 31st. So don't miss out on that if you're an entrepreneur and if you'd really like to have some help having and making sure that you have a successful second half this year. The next Brown Bag Break is August 21st. So thank you very much for joining me live or catching this on the replay. You can always find information about what's going on, as I said, on my website at jenquest.com, or you can contact me at 812-893-9492. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope that you have an amazing weekend in this sunshiny July day. Thanks a lot.